U.S. Central Command accusing Iran of an egregious ceasefire violation this morning. This is after Iran launched a ballistic missile toward Kuwait. That missile was intercepted by Kuwaiti forces.
And it looks like the so-called ceasefire between the United States and Iran is already hanging by a thread, because just hours earlier, U.S. officials say Iran also launched attack drones near the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical shipping lanes in the world.
Kuwait's Ministry of Foreign Affairs called it a dangerous escalation. Now, U.S. officials say this attack came hours after Iran had, as it described, posed a clear threat by launching attack drones near the Strait of Hormuz. And CENTCOM says that U.S. forces intercepted those drones and launched its own attack and prevented another drone from launching from a site in Bandar Abbas.
Iran, meanwhile, claims its actions were retaliation against what it calls aggressive U.S. military activity in the region, and says it targeted an unmanned American base. But regardless of which side fired first, one thing is becoming painfully obvious. This does not look like a ceasefire.
Says that it then launched a retaliatory attack targeting an unmanned U.S. base. Now, just to sum up, what ceasefire is a good question to be asking this morning. Meanwhile, just moments ago, Iran's supreme leader is now speaking out, praising the strength of the Iranian people, and now
both Washington and Tehran are now openly accusing each other of violating the ceasefire while hardening their negotiating positions behind the scenes. According to U.S. officials, the overnight escalation began after Iran launched one-way drones toward a commercial vessel near the Strait of Hormuz,
calling for greater unity. CNN's Kevin Liptak is at the White House. Kevin, there's a lot of moving parts this morning. Start with, the message we just heard from U.S. Central Command.
Yeah, and I think bottom line, it all adds up to a lot of questions.
And that raises a major question. If Iran's military capabilities were supposedly obliterated, as President Trump previously claimed, then how is Iran still launching drones, operating missile systems, and threatening one of the most strategically important waterways on Earth?
About how these two sides are going to come up with any kind of deal, despite the president's, recent optimism that they were heading in the right direction. This all is very clearly on quite shaky ground, as both sides accuse the other of violating the ceasefire, as both sides appear to harden their negotiating positions. It is not at all clear how this is going to be resolved. CENTCOM saying that this ballistic missile that Iran fired in retaliation towards Kuwait is, quote, an egregious ceasefire violation. You have
any instability there could send global energy markets into chaos overnight. At the same time, tensions are also growing over reports that Iran and Oman could seek some form of joint oversight arrangement in the Strait of Hormuz as part of ongoing negotiations.
I've had officials over the last several weeks describing these skirmishes as something more minor, something that doesn't necessarily violate the ceasefire, even though it's become evident that the firing is not ceasing in any way. And just to give you a little bit of a tick-tock of how this all unfolded overnight, the U.S. detecting Iran firing these one-way drones towards a commercial vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. They take those drones out. They also take out the ground facility.
Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader is now calling for greater unity inside Iran while praising the strength of the Iranian people, signaling that Tehran is preparing its population for a potentially longer confrontation.
That they say was preparing to fire an additional drone, and then Iran responding by firing this ballistic missile. This is the second incident that we've seen occur in the Strait of Hormuz just in the last 48 hours. It does raise some questions about the capabilities that Iran has retained over the course of this conflict. Despite President Trump's claims that Iran has been obliterated militarily, you see them digging out some of the missile launch sites. You see them maintaining the drone facilities along the strait, continuing their ability to cause havoc in that waterway, which when you talk to officials behind the scenes is quite a major concern. And so all leading to some complications on these ceasefire talks and these peace talks. We heard from President Trump yesterday, I think, really trying to appear reluctant, to seem overeager to reach a deal.
This is already the second major exchange of military action in just a matter of days, and every new strike increases the chances that the entire agreement could collapse completely. And that's the real story here. Despite all the public talk about diplomacy and peace negotiations, the reality on the ground looks very different. Missiles are still flying. Drones are still being intercepted. Military strikes are still happening. And the Strait of Hormuz remains one of the most dangerous flashpoints in the world right now. But let me know what you think. Is this ceasefire already dead? And how far could this confrontation between the United States and Iran escalate from here? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel.